Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today I'm going to be looking at the Rose Gold edition of the Gator Backs playing cards from David Blaine and Split Spades. And Gator Back is, of course, one of the premium lines of decks from David Blaine, and he's done it in a number of different colors over the years. There's black and gold, red and green, so lots of different versions, but the Rose Gold is one of the latest versions released in 2020. So let's take a look at it, find out how he did. Now, if you've seen other decks of Gator Backs, this is going to be really familiar. A lot of the same touches that you're used to there. The tuck case is done in a black matte cardstock, but it's covered in embossing and black foil, as well as hits of this rose gold colored foil as well. The black foil on the black deck is a really cool look. I love how that almost just disappears depending on the angle you hold it in. So you can get, moments where you can barely see it, and then moments where as you tilt it, it just really pops out, looks really beautiful. The deck's illustrated by Mark Stutzman, so you're gonna see his design work throughout. He does really intricate and beautiful work. The back here is gonna be basically the back design of the cards, and you can see tons of detail from the Gators as well as the Split Spades logo. It says Gator Back playing cards down here at the bottom. And then the one hit of color is gonna be the gator with a little girl sitting on the back. And that's supposed to represent David Blaine's daughter, Dessa, as well as his pet alligator there. So a really beautiful design. I love the look of this. I love the hit of the rose gold. That bronze pink gold color really pops out nicely. As you turn to the sides, you have DB Productions and Mark Stutzman credited on one side, and then the United States Playing Card Company, who printed the deck, on the other. Bottom has your ad copy for Split Spades, who distributed the deck, and the top just says Gator Backs. The back here is going to be the back design of the cards, all done in beautiful rose gold foil. Really nicely done. You can see some of the detail there, and we'll look more closely at this when we get to the cards themselves. As you open up, you get a few extra touches, some extra printing on the flap here, including Made in the USA and the DB Split Spades logo there. You get an 8 of spades reveal in black foil on the inner flaps here. And then some printing that includes an image of a little girl swimming in the water there. A little bit hard to make out, but you can see her head here above the line, and then the legs dangling in the water there, as well as the water spread across. So kind of a cool little image that's unique to this edition of the deck. A pretty cool touch there. No other printing on the interior of the tuck case, but really nicely done. This is the first Gator Backs deck that I've had in hand, so love getting a chance to check this out. I think it's really well done. The color schemes are great on this. Let's check out the cards though. We'll start with the back design. And here it is. So it's a white cardstock, and it's covered in the rose gold foil. The back design is going to be fairly familiar again if you've seen other Split Spades decks or other Gator Backs decks. Has the large spade pip featured on the top and the bottom with all this scroll work coming out. And then crossing with that, you have the 4 images of the gators with the little girl on their back kind of coming from the 4 corners. You look through that, you can see the beautiful image there with the gator, the tail kind of curling up to cross with the flourishes from the spade. It's a really beautiful 2-way back design. It's definitely a back that looks like, it could definitely support a marking system or something, but it's not marked at all. And then you have the medium white poker border around the edge. There's a slight change here from some of the previous decks in that some of these, the border here is a little bit more filled in. In some of the previous decks where you see these circles here, it was more of an open spot that kind of gave some breaks in the border. This has a more contiguous border compared to some of those previous decks. But really beautiful design, all done in this Metaluxe foiling from USPCC. Just a really beautiful design. Mark Stutzman just does phenomenal work with his artwork. So there's the back design. Take a look at the cards, and we'll start with the extra cards you get. You get 4 of them. And they're all going to feature artwork. So the simplest one is going to be this Split Spades logo with and you can see how it makes a D and a B back to back for David Blaine. So that's going to be one of them, and it's done in metallic ink, that rose gold color again. And then you get 3 images all featuring the alligator there. So one of them is going to feature a little girl, his daughter, standing on the back of the pet alligator holding the reins there. So he's got that cute little tutu there and standing on the back of the gator. This is an image probably seen in some of the previous decks. This one's shown up in previous decks as well. Kind of a whimsical image of a little girl holding an umbrella and kind of floating through the clouds, holding the gator in her arms. Kind of a fun little image there. And then the last one, I think this is new. I could be wrong, but I think this is new to the David Blaine Gator Backs decks. And it's an image of David himself swimming in the water with an alligator. So you can see the bubbles coming up as he's kind of twisted in the water with the alligator. And then if you look in his hands up here, you can see cards just sort of he's either grabbing a card out of the water or the cards are kind of drifting out of his hands into the water, either way. Again, done in that metallic ink. So a pretty cool, fun image on that one. So there's the extra cards that you get. Now the deck itself, and it's going to come in mnemonica stack order. So this random order here is actually mnemonica stack. It's just a famous deck order. A lot of decks are starting to come in that stack order. And so as you pull this out of the deck, or out of the tuck, you can kind of appear as if it's already been shuffled, but you can know the exact order of the cards if you know mnemonica stack. Now, start with the Ace of Spades, though. This is going to be the same design you've seen on other Gator Backs decks. Features that large, beautiful spade pip with the water flowing around to form the shape of a spade, and then the gator jumping up out of the water and reaching with its jaws for this seagull that's trying to fly away. Really cool, fun, beautiful image. Love how it's drawn and just how naturally it forms into that spade shape. Has Gator Backs at the bottom and number 127. The 127, in addition to being the number representing the design of this deck, is also another nod to his daughter, Dessa, whose birthday is on January 27th. A pretty cool personal touch on that one. Has standard pip and index in black here against that rose gold metallic ink that's done for the rest of the design. The rest of the number cards are going to be pretty much bicycle standard. Keeps it a very functional, usable deck. So these are all going to be fairly familiar. Nothing too special on these. And then you will get a David Blaine Classic, which is the custom faces on the cards themselves. The faces are going to represent different people from David Blaine's life. So this particular one is his ex-fiance and the mother of his daughter, Dessa. So you'll see her face represented here, and she's got a little Ace of Hearts reveal there in her hands. The coloring on the quartz is going to be fairly familiar, but slightly recolored. So you've got the reds and the blues, and then hits of metallic ink in the rose gold color throughout. As you go through the rest of the deck, you'll see some of the other custom faces on here. Again, just people from David Blaine's life. Jack of Spades, for example, is his brother. And you'll see others as you go through. I'll just call attention to a couple others as we hit them. The King of Spades, just to be coming up. So here's the King of Spades. That's David himself. You can see his face there. And then the last one that I'll just call attention to is going to be one of the jacks over here. Is going to be the, I lost track of it. The Jack of Hearts here is going to be Mark Stutzman, represented there with his little, with his beard there. So that's Mark Stutzman, the illustrator of the deck, represented there. So that is the deck. As far as handling, and other thoughts on the deck. So there's some kind of mixed opinions. Some people don't like how these feel. They think they feel a little bit off. I think it's just a combination of the really thin stock that's used for the cards with that Metaluxe. The Metaluxe adds a little bit of thickness. It's not quite as seamless as like the foiling is done on a Cardamundi deck. So it's going to feel a little bit different in hand. For me, it kind of clumps a little bit when I fan. So it's not going to handle quite as well as some of the other decks or other foil decks done by Cardamundi. Some people really don't like how they handle. I'm not much of a cardist, so that wasn't really a huge consideration for me. I will say, though, in looking at this, that one thing that really does bother me is the registration on these is pretty terrible. Registration being how well cut they are from side to side. You'll see some of these as just being really off-centered. That's pretty typical of USPCC decks. That said, this one really stood out for me as being a pretty bad one. But all that said, I still think it's a really beautiful deck. Really great deck for Magic. Would expect nothing less from David Blaine deck. So that's really going to be kind of its sweet spot. I suppose you could use this for cardistry. I think the handling is probably a little bit off for cardistry. It's a little bit straightforward, I guess, for a pure art deck, not quite as custom as a lot of people like with the art or the collector decks. But it's a really great Magic deck with familiar faces and yet really beautiful finish on the outside. So that's it. That is the look at the Rose Gold edition of the Gator Backs deck. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what other decks you want to see. Subscribe for more deck reviews and unboxings, and I'll see you for the next one.